The planet was a wasteland. A barren, lifeless rock orbiting a dying star. Its surface was cracked and dry, the air thin and unbreathable without assistance. The only signs of life were the faint, flickering lights of a crashed escape pod, half buried in the sand. Inside, a figure stirred. Her name was Kaela, a xeno-biologist from the Galactic Federation. She had been part of a research expedition studying the outer rim of the galaxy when their ship was attacked by pirates. In the chaos, she had managed to eject in an escape pod, but the pod's navigation system had malfunctioned, sending her hurtling toward this desolate world. The crash had left her injured and stranded. Her oxygen supply was dwindling, her food rations nearly gone. The planet's atmosphere was toxic, and the temperature swung wildly between scorching heat and freezing cold. She had tried to send a distress signal, but the pod's communication array was damaged. Kaela was alone. Day 1. Kaela woke to the sound of alarms blaring inside the pod. The oxygen levels were critical. She struggled to her feet, her body aching from the crash, and grabbed the emergency repair kit. She spent hours trying to fix the oxygen recycler, her hands trembling as she worked. Finally, the alarms stopped. She had bought herself a little more time. She stepped outside the pod for the first time, her suit's visor reflecting the bleak landscape. The horizon was a flat, featureless expanse of cracked earth and jagged rocks. The sky was a dull orange, the sun a faint, distant glow. "This is it," she whispered to herself. "This is where I die." Day 7. Kaela had always been resourceful. It was why she had survived the pirate attack. But here, on this lifeless planet, her resourcefulness was being tested like never before. She had managed to scavenge enough materials from the pod to build a makeshift shelter. She had rationed her food and water, stretching them as far as they would go. But her oxygen supply was running out. She spent her days exploring the area around the pod, searching for anything that could help her survive. She found nothing. No water, no plants, no signs of life. Just endless sand and rock. At night, she lay in her shelter, staring up at the stars. She wondered if anyone was looking for her. She wondered if they even knew she was alive. Day 14. Kaela's oxygen ran out. She had known it was coming, but that didn't make it any easier. She sealed herself inside the pod, using the last of her energy to activate the emergency oxygen reserve. It would last her a few more days, maybe a week if she was careful. She was weak now, her body struggling to cope with a lack of oxygen. Her thoughts were muddled, her vision blurred. She knew she didn't have much time left. But she refused to give up. She spent her final days recording messages, documenting her experiences, and leaving behind whatever knowledge she could. If anyone ever found the pod, she wanted them to know what had happened to her. Day 21. Kaela's oxygen reserve was almost gone. She lay on the floor of the pod, her breathing shallow, her body numb. She closed her eyes, ready to accept her fate. And then she heard it. Faint, distant sound. At first, she thought it was her imagination, a trick of her oxygen-starved brain. But it grew louder, more distinct. It was the sound of an engine. Kaela forced herself to her feet, her heart pounding. She stumbled to the pod's window and looked out. In the distance she saw a ship. The rescue. The ship landed a few hundred meters from the pod. Kaela watched as a figure emerged, clad in a sleek white spacesuit. They moved quickly, scanning the area with a handheld device. Kaela tried to call out, but her voice was too weak. She banged on the window, hoping to get their attention. The figure turned toward the pod. Kaela's vision blurred as the figure approached. She collapsed to the floor, her body finally giving out. The last thing she saw was the pod's door being forced open. The aftermath. Kaela woke in a medbay, surrounded by the hum of machines and the soft glow of artificial light. She was hooked up to N4, her body weak but alive. A doctor entered the room, a kind-looking human with graying hair. "You're awake," he said, smiling. "You gave us quite a scare." "Where am I?" Kaela asked, her voice hoarse. "You're on the SS Endeavour, a Federation rescue ship. We picked up your distress signal a few days ago. It was weak, but we managed to trace it to your location." Kaela frowned. "Distress signal. But my pod's communication array was damaged." The doctor chuckled. "It was. But you managed to rig up a makeshift transmitter using parts from the pod's oxygen recycler. It wasn't strong, but it was enough." Kaela's eyes widened. She had no memory of doing that. She must have been working on autopilot, her survival instincts taking over. "You're lucky we found you when we did," the doctor continued. "Another day, and you would have been gone." Kaela nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "The human." Later, Kaela learned that the figure who had rescued her was a human named Captain Elias Grant. He was the commander of the SS Endeavour, a ship dedicated to search and rescue missions in the Outer Rim. When Kaela was well enough, she requested to meet him. Captain Grant was a tall, broad-shouldered man with a rugged face and piercing blue eyes. He greeted her with a warm smile and a firm handshake. "I'm glad to see you're doing better," he said. "Thank you," Kaela replied. "I owe you my life." Grant shook his head. "You owe yourself. You're the one who survived. We just happened to be in the right place at the right time." Kaela smiled. "Still, I'm grateful." They talked for a while, sharing stories of their respective missions. Kaela was struck by Grant's humility and kindness. He was a man who genuinely cared about others, who believed in the value of every life. Before she left, Grant handed her a small metallic object. It was a patch emblazoned with the emblem of the SS Endeavour. "A token of our gratitude," he said. "You're one of us now." Kaela took the patch, her heart swelling with emotion. "Thank you," she said. "I'll never forget this." The ending. Kaela returned to the Galactic Federation, where she was hailed as a hero. Her story inspired countless others, a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the will to survive. But for Kaela, the real hero was Captain Elias Grant and the crew of the SS Endeavour. They had shown her that even in the darkest of times, there was always hope. Years later, Kaela would look back on her experience with a sense of gratitude. She had been left to die on a deserted planet, but she had been given a second chance. And she had made the most of it. She never forgot the patch Grant had given her. It hung on the wall of her quarters, a constant reminder of the day she was rescued, and of the day she learned that even in the vast, cold emptiness of space, there was still warmth to be found.